Hi, I'm Ralph Bowen, and I'm here along with pianist Jim Ridl, drummer Donald Edwards, and bassist Kenny Davis. And we've put this video together for you, along with recording engineer Steve Jankowski of Jankland Studios and Mike Murata of SBC Productions. We're very happy that all of our respective sponsors have played a role in supporting this project. We'll be playing 3 tunes for you in a natural setting. That is, we've done nothing to the studio with regards to trying to present a stage set. You'll be seeing us as though we were walking in and recording a CD. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
I'm Donald Edwards. I'm a freelance drummer living in New York City, 20 years roughly as a professional.
At the drums tonight is Donald Edwards.
Most of that period I've been playing Sabian cymbals. Sabian for me crosses over well into everything that I do. One reason I like to play Sabian cymbals is that it crosses over very well sonically for me. I was a jazz drummer mostly at first. I started getting a lot of gigs as a jazz drummer, and I was always looking for that dark tone and that warm sound. And I get that with Sabian, but there's also a lot of cases where I need something that's a little bright, that cuts a little well, something that you can, when the band is really hot and hitting, that cymbal, you need that ride cymbal that still cuts. A lot of times when the cymbals are too warm, for me, it gets lost. When I play Sabian cymbals, I feel like the cymbals are never lost. It has a little bright edge to it, but I still have that warm tone quality and that authentic jazz sound that I'm looking for. Sabian has given me a line of cymbals that helps me reach what I'm looking for musically and sonically. I like to use one set of cymbals, and I like to use them for everything. And for me, Sabian gives me that opportunity. And I can take those same cymbals and go do a rock gig or a funk gig. And I feel like the authenticity of what I'm doing is great with those cymbals. Just one set of cymbals, my main setup, and I just like using that for everything I do. The tone is great. They have a great line. They're coming out with new stuff all the time. And for me, my ears really hear those cymbals. So that's why I play Sabian cymbals. And I think you should check them out. Ludwig was my first drum my very first drum. I had a Ludwig. So, I'm kind of like, a Ludwig person, deep down, and, because it was my first drum. And even then, even that same drum sounds good. I can still use that first drum I had, when I was a kid in grade school, and it still sounds good. And Ludwig still sells that drum. They have very good designs. I like the sound of the drums. When I play their equipment and when I see their equipment and when I look at the things they're doing now, it seems like they really know what they're doing. And I can use those drums for everything. Everything that I do, all the calls that I get to do, I feel like I can use Ludwig drums and I can cover it with no problem. For me, the sound of the drum, it affects the way I play and what I hear. Because I associate that sound with a particular type of music. And I don't feel like I'm playing a drum set that limits me. I feel like I can go back to the 60s, 70s, 80s. I feel like I can cover a lot of ground with these drums. I feel really free playing Ludwig drums. The bottom line is, it's the drums. It's the drummer and it's the drums. And, I want this to be an extension of what I hear. Playing Ludwig drums on this session in particular is kind of an example of what I'm talking about. I can do something really tight and funky. I can do something really beautiful and creative and and impressionistic, and I can do all that kind of stuff with these drums, and I don't feel limited. And the tone is very warm. I can kind of change the tone if I want. It's a very wide scope of what I can do with the drums and what I can how I can tune them. Man, it was just a blast to play the drums in that session. Ludwig got some drums over to me, and I'm thank you for that. and they worked out very well, and I'm happy with the way the sound came out. You check it out for yourself.
Selmer Paris saxophones.
It was our great pleasure to have back at Smalls Jazz Club leading his quartet, playing both tenor and alto saxophone. Please welcome Mr. Ralph Bowen, the Ralph Bowen Quartet.
I've been playing Selmer since I started playing the saxophone, which was around the age of 11. My parents bought me my first tenor. It is right here, and I still play it. It's a 1975 Mark VI, and it's pretty worn by now. Still plays great. I put a good 35, 40 years on it, and the keys are pretty worn. It's got a beautiful sound. It still serves me well. I did purchase a second Selmer tenor so as to give this one a little bit of a rest. This horn is still a wonderful instrument. The alto that I'm playing on this project, and the one I use all the time, is this fantastic Reference 54 Kookaburra model. It's one of the Bird series. I love it. It has a great vibrant sound. I've played all of the Selmer altos. I think they're fantastic. The Series 2s, 3s, the reference horns. This one is my preference. It just speaks so beautifully. It's got a beautiful, rich sound, very little resistance. It's just a terrific instrument. As far as Series 2s go, I love the soprano. My preference is the one piece that this offers, but the Series 3s are also terrific instruments, and they're a preference for a lot of players as well. Selmer Paris is one of the leading manufacturers of saxophones. I believe that they are the top company in the market today. Their instruments are still made in France, just outside of Paris at the Selmer factory. Here in the USA, they're distributed and supported by the Selmer Company out of Elkhart, Indiana. I encourage you to try all Selmer horns. They're just fantastic instruments. Go to your local store and try some Selmer saxophones. Selmer Paris. Van Doren. You've probably become familiar with the Van Doren advertisements in all the major journals. All of the artist reps. Van Doren. And some of their products actually bear the same distinctive V. This is just a light strap I like to use if I just have to pick my horn up for a few minutes. Other than that, however, you'll see me in the video, but if you ever see me perform, I'm always using the new Van Doren harness strap, which I believe is the best harness strap on the market. It's fantastic. And I've used harness straps for decades, and this, bar none, is the best that I've ever used. So I encourage you to try it out. It's a piece of fantastic equipment, just like saxophones and mouthpieces, and I really look at it that way, that it's as important as all of our other equipment. So it's fantastic, and I encourage you to try it out. So Van Doren, based out of Paris, France, like the Selmer Paris Saxophone Company. Van Doren's a fantastic company, and here in the US they're distributed by a company called Danzer out of Chicago. All of their products are made with the finest design, materials, manufacturing, and I'm just so impressed. I use all of their mouthpieces, ligatures, reeds, straps, and to me they're just at the top of the market with regards to all of those items. They're reliable in the sense that I can pick a mouthpiece out of the box, put it on the horn, plays beautifully, just what I expected. So, you know, in terms of quality control, it's fantastic. I play a lot of different mouthpieces. On the tenor, for instance, I use everything from a TL4, I use the T20, 25, 35, 45, 55. I play the Java mouthpieces, the Jumbo Java, and also the metal V16s are fantastic. I really encourage you to try some Van Doren products. If you're in the New York area, as well as some other major cities, you can actually contact the Van Doren Advisory Studio, which is a terrific opportunity to go and try out their products in a private setting, You're really catered to with regards to pairing mouthpieces with reeds, with ligatures, and so forth, so you can really get a good idea as to what works for you. BAM. BAM musical instrument cases. All BAM cases are handmade in France in the BAM facilities. As far as technical design is concerned, BAM cases are #1 in the high-end musical instrument case market. They have many designs to choose from to suit a variety of different needs. I really love my BAM case. This is the cabin case for tenor saxophone. It's got a sleek design. I'm very confident that my horn is well protected. It's sturdy, but also light, and as I'm sure many of you are familiar with some of the challenges involved in air travel in particular today, I have yet to find an airplane that I've flown on that this case does not fit comfortably into. And it gives me peace of mind that I can sit down and not be afraid that someone's going to bang their suitcase up against it and cause any damage to the instrument inside. It's very sturdy, and I don't feel the vibration that I felt with other cases in the past. You know, when my horn's in here, it's snug and it doesn't move. So I love this BAM case, and BAM offers such a wide variety of cases. I would imagine that anyone would be able to find what they're looking for in a case in the BAM line. So I highly recommend that you have a look at BAM musical instrument cases. I want to thank all of my endorsers for their support in the making of this project. Henry Selmer Paris Saxophones, the Con Selmer Company, Van Doren, Danzer, and the BAM Musical Instrument Case Company. Thank you so much for all of your continued support.
Hello, my name is Jim Ridl, and I'm a jazz pianist and composer.
Piano tonight, Mr. Jim Ridl.
I've been playing for many years, and I freelance in New York City, and I play with a lot of different people, do a lot of touring in the US and also overseas. And I have the pleasure of playing with this great quartet with Ralph Bowen, Kenny Davis, Donald Edwards. With this group, the craft is extremely high. I mean, ideally, you want to have a good chemistry with each other, not only bringing your craft. With jazz music, at times it can be very, very sophisticated as well as soulful. And the blending of the two is the most important thing. And with these guys and with this band, I would say we're soulful players. We definitely have hearts, beating hearts. We're alive, but we like sophisticated music as well as just grooving music. What's great about this, you know, it's Ralph's group. The part that's so cool with him is that he's expecting that you're going to bring your best. So really, he doesn't have to say much. If he needs some things that need to be altered, he will say them. If they're cool, he won't. So you always want to bring your A game with Ralph, but also with Donald and Kenny. They're amazing players and so experienced. So I always want to bring as high level as I can, which most of the time I do. I mean, that's my goal, and I'm successful at that, but all of us bring it together. We all strive to play really well, and we do it. You know, it's a good thing. For this particular endeavor that we're doing, I'm playing two instruments, a Yamaha grand piano and also a Casio Privia, the PX300. I've owned it for about 8 years. When I was going into a music store to check out a new keyboard to play, I wanted something that was light to carry. I didn't want to really carry any heavy stuff anymore. So I'm checking out these other name brands, and I come across the Casio Privia, and it's an 88 key, and it weighs 25 or 30 pounds. It's amazing. When I'm playing it, as far as the sound, it's really a very happening digital piano sound, and I use that all the time, as well as the Rhodes sound. So it has plenty of other sounds, but it's really those two things that have to sound good. They rose to the occasion, and it's totally a competitive keyboard with all the other name brands now for a number of years. I was really, really impressed. It's lightweight, easy to haul around, and it has a really good sound. Put it into the PA system, you know, not only just your amp. If you can get that sound reinforcement, besides just the amp, it makes it a much, much fuller sound. I want a sound that is going to blend well and not kind of stick out like, oh, that sounds very alien or kind of fabricated. You go into a system and you add some reverb and some things like that, and it sounds really, really good. And I've gotten a ton of really, really good comments about the keyboard and how it sounds. I've taken it to many, many gigs. It's in my car. It's traveling with me. I've also used it in the studio for some of my own recordings, and with this recording that you'll hear, there's one song where I play the Privia. So I highly recommend this keyboard. The Casio Privia, right? PX300. It's an excellent instrument if you're looking for lightweight, good sound, and very, very dependable. 8 years I've had it, and it's been cool. Still going strong. I would get this keyboard. Highly recommended.
My name is Kenny Davis. I am a jazz
Please
bassist.
welcome playing the bass, Mr. Kenny Davis.
The companies that I endorse are Federa basses, DR bass strings, handcrafted bass strings for my electric bass, Diodaria Hylacore bass strings for my acoustic bass, radio DI boxes, SWR amps, Monster cables, and many others. I've been playing for a long time. Well, about 40 years, yes. You know, playing music with great musicians, you can't ask for anything better. You never know what's going to happen. And that's the great thing about music, you know, not knowing what's going to happen next. Naturally, there's a structure.
Same spot, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so let's go with Federa basses. Let's start with that, Federa basses. And I always said, I did an interview and I said, once you go Federa, there's no other. That's what I said with Federa basses. They take you to the tree stump. That's where it starts from. You look at these things and look at how the wood is, you know, inside of the tree. They cut it, or they might have a piece that's already cut that you like, and you know, some stuff is look like it's rotten. And I would say, man, are you sure this is gonna look right? They said, don't worry about it. Then they do their craftsman. You know, it depends on whether you want maple neck, ebony neck, rosewood. You select your frets. So you might want fatter frets, smaller frets. You know, you want inlays. You know, so everything it starts from you. It starts from scratch, and everything is homemade there. It takes over a year for the bass to be made, you know, because they want it right. Joey and Vinny and the company, they're great. You know, great guys as far as supporting you. You know, you can't ask for another company as great as that. The thing about with SWR, when I was living in LA, I would go to the factory where they made the cabinets, and I would sit down with the engineers who were making the cabinets, and they went over every little thing as far as trying to get the best sound for me. So I got used to those cabinets, you know, because my usual setup is like the Goliath speakers, 410s, and the SM900 head. Now, when it gets to Monster cables, they're great cables. They're darker. You know, trust me, I A/B'd the cables with many different cables, and they was consistent. They have a great support policy. If something goes wrong with them, they send it back, and they just send you another one. Sound great. The way they're made, they have their own way of winding the cables. Monster Cables has a really special way of making their cables, such a high quality. Radio DI boxes, they made a special box for me. So they put a little switch inside of my box so I can switch it from whether it's acoustic music or electric music. Great boxes, they have great support system. That's another company that I would totally advocate as far as using their material. DR strings. They're really easy on your fingers, so they really don't chew up your fingers like other strings. That's sort of hard on your fingers. They keep their intonation longer than I've noticed. And the brightness. I mean, as far as slapping, you know, those are the best strings to have. Diodaria strings for my acoustic bass. The clarity of those strings, they're versatile. They bow well, you can use your bow, and they work with pizzicato. You know, and they keep their intonation. They're just great strings. The company is very great. You know, so DR strings for my electric bass, and Diodaria bass strings for my acoustic bass. The companies that I endorse are actually the stuff that I use. So if I'm endorsing anything, I really use it, the product, you know, because and especially when I was doing the Tonight Show, I was with the companies that I was with. And I really enjoy them, and those are the companies that I advocate for. So that's it.
Besides the musicians, the four of us playing together, there's always more people involved, right? And you want that hookup to be really strong. So for instance, the man behind the camera, Michael Murata, is just fantastic. He's a musician himself and experienced for a lot of years in this, and he's just excellent working with video and putting all of this together for us and making us very, very uncomfortable. Did I say comfortable or uncomfortable? Yeah, making us very comfortable, you know, both here today and then also in the studio when we were recording. So Michael's just fantastic to work with and is doing a beautiful job. And then also Steve at the studio, the sound engineer, just gets a great sound. He's a musician as well and set everything up and really made us feel comfortable. So, like when you see productions on TV and it's like really, really famous people and yeah, and they sound great, well, it's all these other people that are making them sound great and feel comfortable. It's not just one thing. Music is music, right? But you want good sound, you want good imagery, you want all these things, and so that's happening in this situation, so thanks.